so I'm very short on time, so hopefully this works out. Trying something different here, so be patient. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully it works out. But let's continue with our review of Season 2 of the Amazon Prime series, The Boys. This is Episode 4. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
And I'm going to try to do this one kind of quickly today because I have a hard out. I'm going to go see Tenet later today, which I'm very excited about. So apologies, but I will be going through this one rather quickly. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. But before I begin, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram and at Super Dario World. Also, I do live stream pretty much every day, Monday through Friday. I'm aiming for it. You can find that at Super Dario World on YouTube and Twitch. Please subscribe there. It helps out. Likes and all that stuff really helps out. Anyway, let's get into this whole thing. So, the Boys, episode 4, pretty good one. We actually had a few changes here. So let's begin with the introduction of the new characters, which is always very important. And let's get this big here. So, there's only one that actually matters, or at least that I think is going to matter throughout the show, and that is the character of Cherie. Now, Cherie is a friend of Frenchie, and just like Frenchie, not a lot is known about her except that she's a criminal. So, how relevant she's going to be, I don't know, but I think it's worthy of note. At least worthy of note. It's a character that at least has a name. So, there you go. And now, let's move on to the summary of the episode. Now, hopefully this works out. Nope, did not work out. Let's go there. All right, so summary, let's begin with the story of the Seven. So, Homelander is kind of very upset because Stormfront has basically taken all the attention from him. And the thing that I continue not to get here is how can this chick still be complaining about the company that she works for and not get fired? So hopefully there'll be an explanation there. But so far it's very annoying. So Homelander goes out to a cabin in the middle of nowhere, and he's clearly very upset. And in this cabin we discover Madeline Stillwell, played again by Elizabeth Shue. Now I know what you're thinking. We saw this dude kill this bitch. So what the fuck is going on? They have like a really weird passionate kiss, and it's a weird session where Madeline is basically telling him every single thing he wants to hear. Like, you're such a special boy. He gives him milk. It's really weird. And then we discover, as most of us suspected, this is actually Doppelganger. Now, Doppelganger is it is a superpowered being his power is to transform into other people. And so we also learned that it causes him physical pain to be in somebody else in another form. However, Homelander does know this, and we do see here that he's very much aware that this is Doppelganger, and he actually tells him to transform back. So this is basically Homelander living out a very fucked up fantasy. So we're learning just how fucked up Homelander truly is. And you see there, he turns back, and he's upset, but he decides, you know what, I'm going to accept this fantasy. Homelander is a very fucked up dude. Very fucked up with a capital V. So, there you go. Then we see Homelander he meets up with Starlight in an elevator, and basically threatens to kill her because she did not kill Huey when he told her to kill her. And now, fortunately for Starlight, she's able to lie her way out of it. She basically says, hey, I did not expect him to be there, and I'm not a killer. So if you want to kill me for not being a killer, cool. But I'm not. It's not who I am. Which I guess it's an argument. It's convincing, and we're learning apparently the Starlight is either really good at bluffing or really good at lying, or both. Because I guess bluffing is a way of lying. So moving on. I mean, she was lying to save her life. So there you go. And technically, it was true that she did not expect Huey to be there. But we'll see. Next, we have A-Train complaining that, hey, why the fuck am I not being used more? And also, there's another speedster there that he doesn't like. Like, why is he taking over this thing that I'm supposed to be doing? And Homelander shows up and basically says, you're fired, bitch. And so A-Train gets kicked off the team because he's having the heart issues that Homelander discovered the previous episode. And here we see Homelander kind of start to be a nice guy, be like, hey, we'll still be friends, blah, blah, etc., etc. So, again, he returns to being a dick. Basically, here's the thing for Homelander. If you're not useful to him, you're not useful to him. You're not relevant. He doesn't give a fuck. So moving on, we see Homelander and Mauve here in the middle of an interview, and in the middle of the interview they get asked a pretty difficult question, and the question is like, hey, don't you think it's kind of weird that most of the superpower that Compound B creates superheroes, and most of the people that have been given superpowers, like 90% of them are white? And so what is it about Vought that doesn't want diversity? Are they racist and stuff like that? And Homelander is like, well, that's a very difficult question, isn't it? And he says, but we have diversity. I mean, just look at the 7. We have a lot of diversity. A-Train's black, even though we kind of fired him, but we haven't told anybody. And we also have a gay superhero. And that's when he decides to out Queen Mauve. And so this leads to a very interesting conversation between Maude and Homelander, because Maude is convinced that this was Homelander's way of telling her that he has her girl, Helena, I believe that's her name. Elena? It's Elena. By the way, Helena sounds way better than Elena. That's just my 2 cents. I might be wrong. That's just how I feel. Anyway, so she's trying to figure out what the hell she did with him, and Homelander's like, just stop fucking lying to me, because Maude was trying to pretend like nothing was happening, like it wasn't true, it was all in his imagination, and Homelander's like, just stop fucking lying to me, and so he congratulates her. He's like, I'm generally happy for you. I just set you free. You're welcome. And he walks away, leaving Maude very, very confused. And I'll get into this a little bit more in a minute. So moving on, we see, again, Homelander upset, seeing that Stormfront's getting all the attention. And we see Stormfront out there protesting in front of people. I don't understand this storyline. I don't understand this, or at least this particular part of the storyline. This chick works for Vought, and she's out there complaining about Vought. And the people here know that she works for Vought, and they're okay with her complaining for, like, I mean, wouldn't you just think that, hey, maybe this is like propaganda stuff coming straight for the company? Or wouldn't you be like, why doesn't the company fire this chick? Like, why would Vought hire this girl? Why would she work for Vought? I don't get it. The person that signs her checks is the person that she's trash talking. Either it's on purpose, which I guess could be an interesting storyline, and again makes all these people idiots. But then again, lemmings be lemmings. Or they're just the writers couldn't really don't really understand how things work. But we'll see. We'll see how this develops. Then Homelander starts working himself into a tizzy because he starts seeing a whole bunch of memes that talk shit about him, like tries to save the city, can't even save his reputation, blah blah. And so he gets really, really upset about all this. And he's really upset that it looks like Stormfront is that people are starting to say that Stormfront is the real leader of the 7. And so he goes out and confronts Stormfront, and he basically is like, hey, this is my team. I built it. You shut the fuck up. You work for me. And, yeah. Oh, damn it. I should have done that slide first. And he's clearly very upset, threatens to kill her. And Stormfront is like, all right, you know what? Cool it, dude. We're cool. We're on the same side. And she gives him a little bit of advice. Basically, the advice is, and I'm paraphrasing here, is like, it's better to have 5 million people really pissed off than to have 50 million people that love you, because with 5 million people you have an army. And actually this is pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting way of thinking, especially if you're looking at the way things are in the country right now. So sometimes through lies you can get a lot of people very pissed off because clearly she's lying about something. Anyway, a lot of people get really pissed off. I love it. I love it when art catches up. When reality and art collide, it's hysterical. I love it, especially when it ends up landing in a way that they don't expect. But anyway, moving on. Homelander then returns to his cabin in the woods. He sees the doppelganger Elizabeth Shue there again. He decides he's disgusted with himself. He's like, man, I don't need you. I don't need you. I don't need anybody. And I only need myself. Which doppelganger Elizabeth Shue takes that as like, all right, so you want to fuck yourself, right? I'll give you like a really weird fantasy, and this is like a really creepy scene. But Homelander decides, you know what, fuck you, and basically kills himself, like symbolically. He kills doppelganger him. So basically, this is the last tie that he had to Madeleine Albright, and he decided to cut it or break its neck, literally. So hopefully this is like the independence of Homelander, and now from this point we'll see him unleashed, because now he doesn't believe that he needs the love of the people anymore. He only needs himself. Anyway, moving on. We're now moving on to the story of the boys. So Frenchie is kind of in the middle of a spiral. He's doing a whole bunch of drugs, and he goes out and tries to comfort Kimiko. And so this is usually not a good idea, and he tries to kiss her, which is, again, usually not a good idea when somebody's grieving over the death of their brother. And so basically she kind of kicks his ass. So he leaves. Butcher here meets with the colonel, and basically the colonel gives him information on something that the CIA agent that, got her head blown off was working on before she died. Gives him a lead to something to check out, and he also gives him the information on where to find his wife. Butcher basically is like, but we failed in our mission. She's like, yeah, but you know what? I liked your wife, so I'll give you the info anyway. So Butcher decides, you know what? I'm gonna go find me wife. You dudes take care of the Liberty thing, and you guys do good. The colonel will take care of you just like the way she took care of me. So good luck. And he leaves him. In the meantime, Huey decides to meet with Starlight, and Starlight feels bad because she kind of burned the fuck out of him and she was about to kill him. And then Huey gets a call from Mother's Milk, and he's like, hey, dude, we're going on a road trip. We're going to go check out this lead. And Starlight starts crying, and she's like, Homelander tried to kill me, and I can't go back there anymore. Can I go with you guys? Which is an epically terrible idea. So naturally, Huey decides, okay, we need to bring her with us because she cried. And so Mother's Milk, the only guy with any sense here, is like, this is a terrible idea, but fine. I guess I got outvoted here. And he felt pity because, he tried to kill me. So they decide to go on this road trip. In this road trip, they start singing, and the song that they're singing, the name's escaping me right now, but it's the "We Didn't Start the Fire," and apparently there was always burning, a very famous song. And Huey and Starlight start singing at the same time. And guys, if you guys didn't know, this is a sign that they had a connection, because they both know the lyrics of a super famous song. So it means that they're soulmates. Anyway. Moving on, Frenchie goes and visits Cherie. By the way, Cherie, we know her from season 1, but again, we don't know anything about her other than she's a friend of Frenchie. And they hook up, and so he starts confiding in her and tells her, like, hey, yeah, I'm trying to make her feel better, and I can't. And they also mention something about a previous superhero that retired from the Seven and how this led to a trauma for Frenchie. They don't go into the specifics other than it's Lamplighter, but hopefully we'll get a little bit more of that, again, as the show goes on. Then we have a very interesting conversation between Mother's Milk and Annie, or Starlight, where basically Mother's Milk opens up a little bit about his past and what is the thing that made him pretty much hate superheroes. Well, not superheroes, like the soups. Why he hates the soups, and it's a story about his dad. It's actually pretty interesting. Next, as they're leaving the diner where they're having dinner. By the way, their dinner was donuts. All right, I've never been on a road trip where I stopped for donuts and coffee. Never in my life. I'd get it if you're taking it on the road, but sitting down only to eat donuts, really weird. Anyway, moving on. As they're about to leave, they notice a crash, and Annie's like, I gotta go help them. And Mother's Milk is like, no, you dumb bitch, you're not a superhero now. And so they manage to convince her to walk away. So they end up at a hotel. In the hotel, Mother's Milk falls asleep, so naturally Huey and Annie meet up. They're outside, they're eating candy, which is, again, terrible dinner. Their dinner, they've had donuts and candy from a vending machine. So that's just not healthy. And Huey says that how he's lost a ton of weight because he can't eat because of stress. Again, they're showing the PTSD that Huey has. Annie's saying that the opposite, that he's been gaining weight. And again, they're bonding. This is bonding, guys. They're bonding. Anyway, this leads them to them having sex because, obviously, reasons. Next, we have Stormfront. Next, do you remember how Stormfront was in the middle of a protest? Well, in that protest, turns out that Kimiko was actually out there. And naturally, do you guys remember from last episode how Stormfront killed Kimiko's brother? Well, I'm assuming she's there for revenge. So Kimiko is very pissed off. She shows up there. Unfortunately, she's stopped by Frenchie before she can do something stupid. Because remember, Kimiko got her ass handed to her by Stormfront. So Frenchie actually saved her life. And so Stormfront flies away. And then Kimiko is very much upset at Frenchie because Frenchie just saved her life. Which is, I guess, perfectly reasonable if you're a crazy person. Which Kimiko, so far, has appeared to be. Anyway, moving on. we see Mother's Milk going to the address that the colonel gave them, and there they find this very nice lady whose name honestly I don't remember, and I don't think she's gonna be relevant after this episode. And this very nice lady, after some convincing, she decides she thought they worked for Vought, and she's like, I haven't told anybody anything, but I mean, you never know with people. But she said, I haven't told anybody anything, which leads to them having a conversation with her, and she shares the story of when she was a little girl, and there was the superhero at that point, Liberty, which is the girl in that picture, how she killed her brother. It's like she just stopped their car and killed him. And so she reveals that, I can't say anything more because Liberty will kill me. And they're like, hey, Liberty's been dead for like probably quite a while. She was like alive in the 70s. She's probably old and dead. And she's like, no, she's still there. I just saw her. And she shows them a newspaper, and bam, 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 big reveal. Turns out that Lady Liberty, is actually Stormfront, and she's still pretty young. So interesting twist there. We'll see where this goes. So then these dudes are trying to figure out, like, what the fuck did we just figure out? I don't know. Anyway, let's move on because really nobody knows anything right now. And this leads to Annie telling Huey, like, hey, you know how we hooked up? That's the last thing that's going to happen. I don't think we should do it anymore. And Huey's like, what? And then she gives him a really confusing message, which is they make out right before she leaves. And so that leads us to Butcher. So Butcher, since now he knows where his wife is, Becca, he climbs the wall. He goes over there he gives her kind of like a signal to go to the car. He asks her to take him to a place where there's no cameras. And they talk, and he's like, hey, let's get the fuck out of here. And they make a plan to get the fuck out of there. And and Becca's super happy because, like, oh, Butcher, oh my God, I haven't seen you forever. I thought Homelander killed you, blah, blah. And so they hook up. And then the next day, Becca's like, you know what? I can't leave with you because my kid's here. And Butcher's pretty much like, hey, kind of like, fuck your kid. I don't care. He's a fucking soup, which is obviously not what she wanted to hear. So she got really pissed, and she's like, you know what, fuck you, Butcher. You know, the problem here is that you've always had anger issues, and you suck, and so I can't go with you. I'm a mother, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to stay here with my kid, and also I called security, so fuck off. Which she says that she still loves him, but, you know, that I paraphrased. Naturally, that's not what she said, but that's what she said. And so, yeah, that leaves Butcher there brokenhearted. Now, moving on to another story. This is actually a weird thing that happens throughout the show. Throughout the show, we see testimonials from different women that just keep popping up, and you don't really know why. And these women, they just keep popping up, and they're talking about love, or what love means to them, and all that stuff. And at the end of the episode, we kind of understand what it is. And it turns out that all these women are actually being interviewed by the Deep and Carol. And apparently what's happening here is auditions to find the Deep's wife. So that storyline continues to keep getting ridiculous. And the funny thing here is they're having a conversation between the Deep and Carol, and the Deep really likes the last girl. Like, he really likes that girl right there. And he's like, yeah, that's the winner, clearly. And Carol's like, no, it's going to be like girl number 2. I forget her name. Well, I'll introduce her in the next episode, probably, if anything's happened. And the Deep's like, well, how? I thought I got to choose my wife. And she's like, yeah, and you're choosing girl number 2. So there you go. That's what happens when you join a cult, guys. That's what happens when you join a cult. You're free to pick whatever they tell you to. So there you go. Yeah, and I love that story. I did not see it coming. So I'm loving that storyline. Next, I believe that the final thing here is Black Noir. He goes and bugs a tech girl, an IT girl. I don't know what he is, but basically he gives her Bill Butcher's name, and he sits next to her and stays there pretty much the entire episode until the cameras find Bill Butcher when he jumped through the fence. And now the hunt is on. Black Noir officially has a trail for Bill Butcher, and he is. We're assuming that he's going to be on the hunt. So there you go. That is the summary. Let's move on to The Good, the Bad, and the Boys.
That was diabolical.
So, all right, that was the summary. The Good, the Bad, and the Boys. There you go. It only took me a second to figure out. So, trying something new here. We'll see if it works out. Anyway, let's begin with the good. So, in the good, the bad, and the boys, I break down the things that I liked, the things I didn't like, and also a fun fact about whatever I want. So, the good, I'm liking the whole dynamic here between Homelander and Maude, because from what I took here, we don't know if Homelander's being sincere or not, which is the beauty. That's the beauty of a great villain. That's when you're not sure if his intentions are real or not, because Homelander has said, "You are like my only friend," and so it's really unclear if what he did was to be a dick or to be nice. And I love it. Not even Mauve knows. So Mauve's really the dynamics here could be a lot of fun. She could be extremely grateful, or she could get even more paranoid. And I love it. That is great for a storyline when a villain is ambiguous in his intentions. So I'm very excited about that. I'm liking Black Noir finally being used for something. Him chasing Billy Butcher is great. Because we're finally gonna get to see him. Black Noir is criminally underused. He's a super interesting character, and he doesn't say a single line, which is weird. I mean, actions say don't tell is the rule in film, so I guess there's a certain appeal to characters like that. And so him chasing down the boys, official or chasing down Bill Butcher, could be a lot of fun, could be very interesting. I'm very excited to see that. And like I said, the storyline with the Deep just keeps getting more and more ridiculous, and I'm a big fan of ridiculous things, and it's stupid. And the way that freaking Chase is the actor Chase something, I don't remember. The way that he's playing it straight is the best. Like, it's hysterical. I'm loving it. I'm a big fan of it. Let's move on to the bad. And this is the worst part of this episode, and I mean by far. This is criminal. And that is the memes. How fucking terrible the memes were for this episode. You know, like and these, I'm not going to break them down, but you can see them here on the screen. The memes that they created that would have pissed Homelander off are just fucking terrible. There's the worst. It's honestly embarrassing. I would not have put that on TV. So it's really embarrassing. Check out the actual real world memes of the show. They're hysterical. They're great. Like there's one that's super simple, but it's like a girl wearing a pair of panties, and they're camo panties. And then you see Billy Butcher being like, "Oi, if it isn't the invisible cunt." So they're stupid. They're ridiculous. There's a bunch of great lines on this show. It's embarrassing how terrible the people who created these memes are. Honestly, it's embarrassing. So that was the worst part of this episode. HBO, you need to do better. You need to do better. I'm sorry, not HBO. Amazon Prime, you need to do better. All right? That was bad. Next, the relationship between Annie and Huey is just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. The whole, like, we are connected because we knew the same fucking song, right? We were singing the same song, a very popular song, and we know the lyrics. So this is a sign that we're connected. Fuck you. Honestly, it's annoying. I can find no reason for these two to be together, because honestly, they're going to be the death of each other. So it's stupid. And also, isn't Huey supposed to kind of be mourning the death of his girlfriend? I don't know, man. It's just, they're annoying. There's some couples that are interesting to watch on film. These are not. Like, this is a very boring couple. So they need to either make them more interesting or just get them the fuck out. So hopefully this breakup sticks, if it's an actual breakup. But I'm assuming that Huey's going to now be a little bit more desperate about it, because he's been an annoying character. And last but not least, again, the Stormfront storyline makes no sense. Especially with now them revealing who she was before. It's very confusing. I don't understand why she's protesting the company she works for. She's taking their money. The company's giving her money, and she's out there. They're giving her money for her to be out there complaining about them. So unless this actually has some kind of payoff, I'm just very confused. And so that's it for that. That was the bad. That's what I didn't like. Let's move on to the boys. And here I'm going to share a little fun fact. And here's a little fun fact about the way that Bill Butcher was found by Black Noir. Now, there's a thing called facial recognition technology, and you guys, you have it on your phone. It's actually pretty interesting. But in a surveillance state, like, how effective is it? Apparently, facial recognition tech is extremely, extremely good if you know where you're looking. So if you have control of the cameras and the software and everything, it has like over 90% success rate, and you can catch somebody within like 20 minutes. So fingerprints and stuff like that, it could take days. But if you have in a certain area, it's way faster. Or at least that's what I read in an article from which is there was basically a big event, a big festival, and the Chinese government used their cameras to try to find certain criminals, or I guess could be criminals. I don't know. It's the Chinese government, but they were trying to find some people, and using facial recognition tech, within 20 minutes, they were able to identify them in this festival. So at first I was like, oh yeah, sure. Black Noir was able to sit in front of a camera and find Bill Butcher in a day. Apparently, again, if you control the cameras and you have the software installed and it's within your network, it is possible to do. So there you go. This is one of the reasons why I'm always paranoid about, the government and stuff like that. And this is one of the reasons why it annoys the fuck out of me that characters are just walking around. Like, these dudes were wanted by the CIA, the FBI, bought by superheroes, and they were just walking around. So it really annoyed me, and now I'm justified in my annoyance. So there you go. That was it. That was the good, the bad, and the voice. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I'm going to get the fuck out of here really quick because I think I'm already kind of late. But as always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram and at Super Dario World. Also, like I said, live streaming pretty much every day, Monday through Friday. You can find me at Super Dario World on YouTube and on Twitch. Follow me there, subscribe. It helps out. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next time.